It's the powerful combination of a rookie's pure joy and a veteran's unwavering standard that show that this team is continuing to build the right kind of culture. That and more right now on Locked On Commanders.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Commanders. I am David Harrison, your guy on the ground covering the Washington Commanders for WUSA 9. Here with you 5 days a week. You can also find me writing about the Commanders for Sports Illustrated's CommanderGameDay.com, and you can follow me on X at DHarrison82. I want to thank you for coming through this episode of Locked On Commanders. A special thank you to all the everydayers, those of you who come through for every episode. If you haven't already, please make sure you are subscribed for free on YouTube or wherever you're hearing today's episode. Coming up, you're going to hear from first-round rookie Josh Conerly Jr., veteran safety Jeremy Reaves, and rookie running back Jacory Croskey-Merritt. An interviews episode of Locked On Commanders, a little bonus episode here. Just interviews from post-game interviews in the locker room following the Washington Commanders Week 2 preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and we're doing that thanks to our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use a promo code LOCKEDONNFL to get $20 off your first purchase. Let's get right to the player reactions from the game, starting with rookie running back Jacory Croskey-Merritt talking about, first of all, scoring his first NFL touchdown.
So on coming clear and finding the end zone, what did you say?
It was a blessing to be able to be in that position, and once I seen daylight, I was like, it's finally real, so that moment felt amazing.
There's that moment where you're looking for the ball. I know you went to a couple of different guys, and all of a sudden your quarterback goes out on the field to get you your ball.
That just shows the leadership that he has for this team, and it was definitely, I was in a moment when I dropped the football. Like, I planned when I was going to score my first NFL touchdown, I was going to keep the ball, but like I was so in the moment and just ended up dropping it. But, like, that's the leadership that he has, and I'm happy he found it for me.
Aside from the touchdown, overall, how did you feel out there? Kind of take us through those moments a little bit.
I feel pretty good. I just know it's some things that I have to clean up, and I just look forward to getting better every week.
In terms of, you got the ball now, so where's that go? So tell me about that.
I'm thinking about framing it, just putting it up first a minute. So
I think the big takeaway hearing from Bill there is just the unfiltered joy, realizing a lifelong dream coming true, right? I mean, if you're a football fan, you probably had dreams of scoring touchdowns yourself in an NFL stadium. For Jacory Croskey-Merritt to go through what he went through last year, losing all but one game of his final year of his college season due to basically what comes down to an NCAA accounting error that was not obviously in his favor. Getting drafted in the 7th round when you were probably going to be a higher draft pick had you been able to play during the season, but then to come in and earn this opportunity in training camp to get out there on the field with your teammates and to score. And when Jacory says, quote, "Once I seen daylight, I was like, it's finally real," end quote. I mean, that just got it. It hits you in the feels, right? It just hits you in the feels. He's a good kid. We've had him on the show a couple of times this offseason. Actually, I think 3 times this offseason, preseason so far, just because of how good of a dude he is. So really happy for him to be having those moments. And of course, the story of Jaden Daniels going and getting that first touchdown ball for him. I wrote that story up for WUSA9.com. So if you want to read the story, you can go over there and do that. But next up, we've got a veteran perspective coming from safety Jeremy Reaves, who spoke about the team's standard and continuing to learn from the preseason.
A lot of things that we could take from it, but just understanding that football is a game of inches and it's a game of consistency. So you got to come out here and be consistent every day, no matter what the situation is or who's out there. The standard is the standard. So I don't think that we played up to where we need to be, but we got a lot of things to learn from it. The good thing about it is these don't count. As much as you want them to, as much as you want to go play like they count, these don't count. So you can go to the drawing board, figure out what you need to learn from, and get back to it.
Did you see an elevation out there, even with your play, because last week you got a lot of play as far as on the defense, this week again. How do you see yourself?
Just continuing to improve, finding things that I need to work on, right? Big play was the 3rd down. We were in man-ish coverage. Just understanding that, right? Like, tired or not, you got to stop him. So that's just one thing that, I feel like I can be better at, and playing the play before it happens. Trying to find something that's constantly improve on is just going to help me and the guys around me as well.
Last week, a lot of the conversation was about discipline, especially mental errors, penalties, things like that. Do you feel like you guys took a step this weekend?
Yes, and no, there's a few things that, obviously we wish we could get back, but that's, football, right? football isn't a game of perfect. You know, what I reiterated to a lot of young guys is like, you're not going to be perfect. But all we ask is that you go out there and play hard, play physical, because that is at the base of our, team. That's what we're about. So there's a lot of things to learn from, situationally wise, myself included. Just understanding that, when you have opportunities, you got to maximize those.
When there's turmoil or outside storylines circulating the team, what's the key to keeping you guys focused?
I say it all the time, but I got to pay my bills before I pay somebody else's. That's the key, right, is understanding that you have a job to do, and no matter what's going on outside of it, right, the guys in here are depending on you to go do that job. And understanding that, right, like you have a duty to the men around you. I have a duty to, Tress, and I have a duty to Quan, and I have a duty to all the guys around me because they depend on me. So I can't focus on the outside when I have something to do myself.
All right, once again, that was safety Jeremy Reaves. And, what stands out about Revo, as always, is just that leadership, right? And we call it veteran leadership now, but, he's been like that since really he joined the team, and it's only gotten sharper, and his influence has only grown since then. His mentality of, quote, unquote, the standard is the standard. You have to love it. You know what I mean? There were a lot of good things the team certainly did, but there were some things they certainly need to clean up. And you can just kind of tell Jeremy's kind of in that mode where, enjoy the good, but also continue to understand that you need to go out there and try to be as perfect as you can. Admitting, quote, football isn't a game of perfect, end quote, but you do want to get as close to that standard as you possibly can, continue to grow. And then, him talking about it being his, quote, duty to the men around you, end quote, and needing to do his job before worrying about anything else with all the turmoil going on around the team. And look, I didn't need to specifically say, Terry, Brian Robinson, he knows what I'm talking about. He knows what we're talking about. But we're also not trying to get him to, commit narratives on Terry's contract or commit a narrative to Brian Robinson's trade scenario, but just getting to the heart of it, because we do talk about this a lot of times. Is it a distraction in the locker room? So there's at least one veteran's answer on how he approaches it to make sure that he's focused on what he needs to be focused on, which, of course, is winning football from the Washington Commanders. Another player focused on winning football for the Washington Commanders, first-round rookie Josh Conerly Jr., who has certainly come on strong here in the last week or so of the training camp period, I should say, and did really well for himself in this preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Commanders is brought to you by FanDuel. You hear the confidence of players like Josh Conerly Jr. here in a minute and the passion from leaders like Jeremy Reaves, and it gets you thinking about the season ahead. Well, August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for those bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is going to give you deals on NFL season predictions. Whether you want to call your MVP, you want to eye a long shot division winner, or if you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is going to be your moment. For me, I'm looking at Jaden Daniels to be a second-year player winning the MVP award just like Patrick Mahomes did, just like Lamar Jackson did, and I think he has all the tools necessary to make it happen. For the Super Bowl, I'm probably going to put a little bit of money on the Commanders just because it's going to be fun, but I've got some other ideas as well. So visit the FanDuel app today. Start planning your futures bet now because Futures Day is one day and one day only at FanDuel. Play your game. This episode of Locked On Commanders is also brought to you by Game Time. When you hear rookies like Jacory Croskey-Merritt talking about what it feels like to score a touchdown in front of the home crowd, you kind of wish you were there, right? Have you ever decided that the last minute that you just need to go to the game? Well, that's exactly where Game Time comes in to help you out. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without any of the last minute stress. Prices on Game Time actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch or to kickoff, and they've got incredible last minute deals and a low price guarantee. My favorite part is when you get to see the view from your seat right in the app before you buy it, so you know exactly where you'll be, what you're getting yourself into. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create your account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're going to wrap up this bonus interviews episode of Locked On Commanders. Jumped into the locker room after the preseason game against Cincinnati Bengals, caught up with Jeremy Reaves, who you just heard from, Jacory Croskey-Merritt, who you've heard from first, but also rookie offensive tackle, first-round draft pick Josh Conerly Jr. And if you're an everydayer, we talked to him last week before or after the New England Patriots game as well, but he was pretty unhappy with the way things had gone that night, not necessarily for himself personally, but just for the team in general. Not very talkative. He's a mild-mannered dude, not a lot to say anyway, but he did talk a little bit more this weekend, so I thought we'd share that interview with you now.
Play your first game. It'll be your home for a while. How was just to get out there and feel the atmosphere there?
I felt great. I mean, I feel like there was a good amount of people out there for preseason game, and I mean, it felt great just to get out there and go.
Jaden comes in, you get the touchdown on the first drive. How nice was that? He wasn't there long, but just to get that score right off the bat.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, obviously he just did what he did, and we got the run game going early, and I feel like that really set the tone.
Game 1, Game 2, where do you feel like you've grown the most?
I mean, really just the comfortability and being out there, and really fluid with my communication.
I don't know if you saw, but Bill forgot to get his touchdown ball, and Jaden went back out on the field and got it for him.
Wow. I mean, that just speaks volumes to Jaden, you know what I mean? Because obviously he remembered that moment for himself, so of course he would take time out of his own, whatever he was doing on the sideline to go make sure that Bill got that moment back for him.
How much did you love watching the run game kind of go crazy early on in that game?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't expect anything less, to be honest. So.
How comfortable are you getting over there on the right side? Are you feeling like it's second in nature for you?
Yeah, honestly, it's getting there. Honestly, for sure. Week by week, day by day, it's been a lot better.
Two more?
I mean, felt great. Obviously, the crowd wasn't like to its full capacity that it can be, but it's just preseason. But it was great to be out there.
Bobby Johnson said the other day you got some reps at left tackle as kind of a reward, let you go back to what you're comfortable with. How does it feel to know that your coach is recognizing that but also rewarding you for it?
I mean, it just shows the amount of work that me and myself put in, and everybody around me continuing to just pour into me, and I mean, it feels great to know that I have everybody behind my back.
So with Josh Conerly Jr., really kind of get a sense of the pride and the confidence that's building, not just for him, but also with the offensive line in general, of the good night that they had as a group. He said, quote unquote, didn't expect anything less, specifically from the run game, which is a great great example of the sense of the unit's mindset overall. Also interesting to hear him talk about the process of getting comfortable at right tackle, getting better, quote unquote, week to week, day by day. And then, of course, O-line coach Bobby Johnson, we shared that interview on the program last week, him talking about Josh Conerly Jr. and just giving him that kind of reward for playing left tackle. You saw the little smile on Josh's face as soon as we brought it up, truly just appreciating the environment that he's coming up in. And, of course, obviously it's paying dividends for the player, for the team, and for the unit. Free agent offensive tackle George Fant signing with the Washington Commanders on Tuesday afternoon. So a little bit of an indication that perhaps Andrew Wiley might be moving to another side. We don't know how long Brandon Coleman's going to be out. Sam Cosmi's status is still up in the air. So potentially a 5-man unit of Laramie Tunsil, Andrew Wiley, Tyler Biadasz, Nick Allegretti, Josh Conerly Jr. coming at right tackle. And by the way, that he's been playing lately, if that is what the case that you end up putting Josh Conerly Jr. in as the starting right tackle ahead of week 1, you certainly are starting to feel more confident about that. And if you need to rotate with a veteran, you have George Fant, who certainly has a lot of experience in the NFL. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but hopefully you enjoyed those 3 interviews. Again, post-game interview bonus episode here of Locked On Commanders. That's going to do it today, or for this episode, I should say. Coming up next on Locked On Commanders, we're going to have a mailbag. We got an off day Tuesday, practice coming up on Wednesday. So I want to reach out to the insiders, get a whole lot of questions, send them really good ones in. So we're going to drop that Tuesday evening for you into Wednesday morning. In the meantime, if you've got questions you want to insert into future mailbags or comments or topics that you want to hear talked about on the show, or you want to speak with me directly outside the show, go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders. Become a Locked On Commanders insider today. NFL fantasy draft season is here. So for your second listen, go check out the Locked On Fantasy Football podcast. Get ready to take home your league championship this year by finding Locked On Fantasy Football on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this podcast. To the everydayers, I see you every day. I appreciate you every day. And I thank you today for coming through for this bonus episode. Till next time, stay safe, be kind to one another. We'll talk again real soon right here at Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.